You have been trying to read this person for so long that your ability to trust your own instincts has started to erode, because everything they do comes in contradictions. They are warm and then they are gone. They open up and then they seal themselves shut. They make you feel like the most important person in their world, and then they make you feel like a stranger who stumbled into the wrong conversation. And underneath all of that confusion lives one question that you cannot put down, no matter how hard you try. Do they actually love me? Not do they like me? Not are they attracted to me? Not do they enjoy having me around when it is convenient? Do they actually, genuinely, deeply love me in a way that is real and not something I have been building in my own imagination out of scraps and almost moments? Here is what I can tell you before we get into this. Love in an avoidant does not look like love in other people. It does not arrive in consistent warmth and steady presence and clear, uncomplicated choosing. It arrives sideways, in behaviours that look like their opposite, in moments that contradict everything else. And if you are measuring it against the standard of how a securely attached person loves, you are going to miss it entirely. So let me show you what it actually looks like. The first sign is that they remember everything, not the big things. Anyone can remember the big things. The avoidant who is genuinely in love with you remembers the small things. The thing you mentioned once, in passing, that you barely remembered saying yourself. The detail about your childhood that came up in a single conversation months ago. The specific way you take your coffee. The name of someone from your past that you referenced once without explanation. That kind of remembering is not casual. It is not the behaviour of someone who is lukewarm about you. It is the behaviour of someone who is paying a quality of attention to you that they cannot fully control. Because genuine love creates involuntary attention. It makes ordinary details feel worth keeping. It makes the small things about you feel significant, even when the avoidant is actively trying to maintain emotional distance. The remembering happens because some part of them is collecting you, storing you, building an interior archive of who you are that exists completely independent of whether they are ready to act on what it means. You cannot fake that level of attention. You cannot perform it. It only exists when someone is genuinely, quietly, sometimes terrifyingly invested in another person. The second sign is that your pain reaches them in a way that makes them uncomfortable rather than sympathetic. This one is counterintuitive enough that most people misread it entirely. When you are hurting and the avoidant goes cold or gets quiet or seems to withdraw at the exact moment you need them to move toward you, the natural interpretation is that they do not care, that your vulnerability is an inconvenience, that they are emotionally incapable of showing up for someone else. But watch more carefully. Is there something underneath the withdrawal? A tension that was not there before. A quality of distance that feels different from their regular distance. Because an avoidant who does not care about you can witness your pain with relative ease. It does not cost them much. It is the avoidant who loves you who goes cold when you hurt, because your pain lands inside them in a place they do not know how to manage. It activates something they cannot regulate, and the only tool they have, the one they have always had, is distance. The coldness is not indifference. It is emotional flooding wearing the mask of indifference. And the difference in texture between the two, once you know to look for it, is unmistakable. The third sign is that they push you away hardest right after the most genuine moments of connection. Pay attention to the timing of their withdrawals, not the general pattern of hot and cold, but the specific moments when they go coldest. For most avoidants in love, the retreat happens immediately after something real, after a conversation that went deeper than usual, after a moment of physical or emotional intimacy that felt significant, after they revealed something about themselves they do not normally reveal. The withdrawal is not a rejection of you. It is a response to the vulnerability that just happened. The avoidant got close. Something in them registered how close, and the defense system activated in direct proportion to the depth of the moment. The intensity of the retreat is almost a measurement of the intensity of the feeling that preceded it. A person who felt nothing does not need to retreat from the nothing. The retreat only happens when there is something to retreat from. If their coldest moments follow your most connected ones, That is not evidence that the connection was not real. That is evidence that it was real enough to frighten them. The fourth sign is that they are inexplicably bothered by the thought of you with someone else. They may not say it. They will almost certainly not say it, but it surfaces in behaviour. A shift in energy when your life outside of them comes up. A quality of attention that changes when you mention other people. A reaction that is slightly too controlled to be genuine indifference. Avoidants who are not deeply attached do not have this response. They can conceptualize you having a life that does not involve them with relative ease, because their investment is not deep enough to make that thought threatening. When an avoidant is genuinely in love with you, the idea of you moving towards someone else creates a specific, visceral discomfort that their regulation skills cannot fully conceal. They do not own that feeling out loud. They do not turn it into a conversation about exclusivity or commitment, but it leaks. In the slight withdrawal after you mention a night out, in the way they reach for you a little more in the period following any reminder that you are desired by people who are not them. That specific leaking of feeling they are not ready to name is one of the clearest indicators of genuine attachment that exists in this dynamic. The fifth sign is that they keep coming back to you, even after creating the distance that was supposed to solve the problem. Avoidants who are not genuinely attached do not do this. When they are done, they are done. The exit is clean because the investment was never deep enough to make leaving complicated. There is no circling, no returning to the edges, no messages that do not quite say what they mean, but say enough to keep a thread alive. When an avoidant keeps finding their way back, after distance, after silence, after what felt like a final ending, it is because the attachment that made them run in the first place did not dissolve with the distance. The feelings that triggered the withdrawal are the same feelings that keep pulling them back. They are caught between the fear of how much they feel and the impossibility of not feeling it. That push and pull is not confusion about you. It is the most coherent expression of avoidant love that exists. They know exactly how they feel. The problem has never been the feeling. The problem is that feeling it fully requires a kind of courage their attachment system has spent years making sure they never had to develop. None of these signs are permission to wait indefinitely. None of them are instructions to accept breadcrumbs as a substitute for genuine presence. Loving someone is not the same as being able to build something real with them. And an avoidant can carry every single one of these signs while still being genuinely unable to give you the relationship you deserve right now. What they are is clarity. The kind of clarity that stops you from rewriting the connection as something that was never real. The kind that lets you trust what you felt without needing them to confirm it. You were not imagining it. You were not building something out of nothing. The love was there. Whether they ever find the courage to stop running from it is the question only they can answer. But it was always real, and so were you.